to really give him too much of an introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, Evan Bouchard. Look, I put out a poll on Twitter. I could give you the exact numbers, but my phone died. I said, what position in the Norris Trophy voting at the end of this season, or if the season ended now, pardon me, is the way I worded it, what position would Evan Bouchard get in the Norris Trophy winning? 20-some% said top 5, 30-some% said 5 to 10, 20-some% said outside of the top 10, 20-some% said out of the running completely. Patrick's probably checking my math right now, given his eyes dancing. Not sure it matters.
But yeah,
you
were pretty close. You were pretty close.
All right.
Yeah.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, that says that probably half of the voters said that he's a top 10 defenseman in the league. Right? He was top 5 in Norris voting last year. He's broken Paul Coffey's records. He's absolutely dominated in the last 2 postseasons when it mattered, when it counted. He led the last 2 postseasons in points by defenseman. He led the last 2 postseasons in plus minus. He is, proving to be the quarterback of choice for the best power play in the history of the league. I'll save some of the stats because I know Lotzi's wrote an article on this, and I don't want to steal some thunder here, but he's in the tops of the league in, I don't know, what do you call it, Ryan? Non-giveaways, the good side of giveaways per 60. He's one of the top 10 most accurate outlet passers in the league by statistics. My statement is this: Evan Bouchard deserves more than $10 million a year on his next contract. Lotzi, you're up.
And with the cap going up the way it is, 10 million seems very reasonable. So I'll agree with you here. I won't call you crazy. So, I did the piece earlier in the week, and I was talking at Bouchard. I think he's sitting at the time of writing, he was 5th in total giveaways. But guys like Nathan McKinnon and Nikita Kucherov were ahead of him. And there were some high-end defensemen that were nipping on his heels. And I also broke it down by giveaways per 60, which there was a long list of D who were either in front of him or right at his heels. And it's a star-studded list, I'll tell you. But when you're an elite player and you've got the puck on your stick more often, you're going to give it away more often. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. That's just the way it is. But something that I saw later in the week, before or after I wrote the article, I wish I would have seen sooner. But it was somebody put a graphic out from Sport Logic saying that Bouchard was 5th in the league in turnover percentage, which you take the turnovers and you divide them by the number of times you touch the puck. Right. So what percentage of the time are you giving it away when you touch it? Bouchard is 5th in the league, the 5th lowest rate in the league. So that tells you something. He's doing So a lot of the giveaways he has had, he does it in poor situations and at inopportune times. And compared to other defensemen on the Oilers, he does give up the high danger chances at a more frequent rate. And you see that reflected in some of the underlying numbers. And even when guys are playing with Bouch, you see that in their numbers as a pairing. But he's doing a lot of really amazing things out there. Like, if you give that guy up, you're immediately regretting it, begging for a guy like that on your team. So if he wants 10 million, fine. If he wants 11 million with the cap going up the way it is, I'm okay with it. Just get that guy signed.
Yeah, I think he's a top 10 defenseman. At least 100 people that voted in the poll, like I said, half of them said he's a top 10 defenseman. I'm shocked, honestly, that you agree with me of all people. I'm also shocked that most of the people coming in on the chat also agree with me. Michael Kerber saying, I think Bouchard gets 10.5 to 10.8. Buddy, that's exactly where I'd put him right now. Maybe even 11, but the 10, 10-9, I don't know. Quaddy, if we can keep him under 10, it's a bargain. like honestly shocked you guys agree with me. There's so many people out there that don't even think he deserves $7 million a year. You know, and I've said it 100 times. I think Bouchard, when he self-load manages, really exposes himself like no other player, which makes him have, you know, seemingly stupid mistakes sometimes that in inopportune times. But honestly, I think he deserves 10 million a year. Michael, call me crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like just everything says 10 plus, right? You know, if a guy, you know, you're playing on D, if you do a giveaway, obviously it doesn't turn out well, right? Like anytime the D man gives the puck away, it's not going to turn out well. And to your point, Ryan, like I didn't realize that's a great stat, by the way, the amount of touches he has to giveaways. That doesn't surprise me either, right? Like, you know, the amount of times though he walks in with the puck and you know, just amazes me and gets in there and makes things happen. The overtime winner, you know, we give all the credit to McDavid on that play to Connor Brown, but Bouchard makes a beautiful play to get it to McDavid. Like there's only a couple of defensemen in the league that can do that. And Bouchard's one of them. And yeah, I mean, you got to pay what you got to pay, and it's going to be over 10. He's worth every penny as far as comparing him. He's if he's not a top 5 D man, which I believe he is, he's at least a top 10 D man, which puts him in the top pairing on any team in the league, right? So yeah, it's over 10.
And I went and looked at the top 10 highest paid defensemen in the league. You know, we got Carlson at 11.5. I think it's Doughty at 11. I don't remember the order of everybody else. We all know Nurse is in there, but it goes all the way down to whatever, Cale Makar and Dougie Hamilton or something like that at 9 million. You know, so you have to take that the cap going up factor, multiply probably by 0.1 or whatever you want to do. And I think that just automatically makes them a 10 million plus defenseman. And I think he deserves it. Patrick, call me crazy.
I'm not going to call you crazy. He's the kind of guy, if for whatever stupid reason we let him go, we'd be spending 3 first-round picks and prospects trying to find another guy just like him. He's the guy, you've drafted him, you've developed him, you've got Paul Coffey here working with him. Yeah, I don't want to pay him $15 million, but pay him 10 to 11. I don't want to go much higher than, like the 10.5, I think Michael was saying there. That's probably in the right range. I think you were saying that too, Dash. That's probably right where you want him. And I saw someone mention there that maybe, I think it was Machine Gun Yanmark, that Stauffer was saying that maybe they do a 2-year bridge if they really were in that Mikko Rantanen sweepstakes there. But we'll see if that actually comes to pass. But yeah, I think he's definitely worth 10 to 11 million, and he's definitely a guy you want to keep on your team and pay him what you got to pay him to keep him, because you're going to be spending so many assets trying to replace him if you let him go.
Yeah, I mean, I've given you all my opinion on why I think Mikko Rantanen would be a terrible ad for the Edmonton Oilers, and it's not because you don't want a player like that on your team. You just don't want to pay a guy that can't push the river and run his own line. That's going to take $13 million and not play on your power play. I just think it's a terrible move. That said, Machine Gun's given me an idea here, so I'm going to go organic and make one up on the little spot here. I don't know if I even prelude to it and take any. Let's just get to it. Call me crazy, but I think the Oilers would be absolutely insane to bridge Bouchard. Right back to you, Patrick.
It's risky for sure, because the price could go way, way up. It could work in your favor.
As the cap goes way up.
As the cap goes up, yeah, because it's just going to keep jumping here. I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. I think you want to get him on an 8-year deal, because I mean, you're not going to know about even if they do really want Rantanen, you're not going to know until July or late June anyway that you can even get him, and they might even want to get Bouchard done before the end of the year. Because if Bouchard has another huge playoffs, I mean, that price is going up from that based on last year's playoffs too. So I wouldn't be surprised if they want. Well, I don't know. Can they do it before the end of the year? Do you know, Ryan? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. He's RFA.
Yeah. Okay. I just didn't want to make sure I wasn't speaking out of turn there. Yeah, I'd say they probably want to get him done before the end of the year if they can, and to a long-term deal.
Yeah. I think the Oilers are absolutely insane if they try and bridge Bouchard. Michael, call me crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's crazy to. I mean, I think it's insane to bridge them. Having said that, like, it depends on what your plans are with the team, right? Like, you have I believe every team has a limited window to win cups. And if you look at the Oilers, that limited window right now is between now and the next 3 or 4 years. In fact, it might even be the next couple of years, rather. And so, if there's something, if you think Rantanen is the difference maker, right, to winning 1 or 2 more cups, then bridging Bouchard is not that crazy. I'm with you on that, Dash. I don't think Rantanen's the answer. Like, I just don't. But you look at this team and everybody's aging out, right? Like, this is what if this team wins cups beyond 3 years from now, it's not the same team, right? I mean, look at Colorado, right? They got their cup and everything's, slowly going the other way. They've kind of held on. Pittsburgh did the same thing. Pittsburgh had a couple of great years and then they've held on as a decent team. But that's the only reason I would, and who knows what they have in the, as an idea in terms of how to build the team. But that's the only reason I would bridge Bouchard, is if you had some great idea, some great player that's going to move the needle enough over the next couple of years to guarantee a couple more cups.
Okay, well,
other than that, I mean, you got to go long term.
Michael Kerber is absolutely in my head tonight. So I don't know, brothers from another mother, and attaboy, Michael. Okay, so the question's been asked, what's the cap going up to? Currently in 88 million, it'll go to 95.5 million next year, 104 million in 26-27, and then to 113.5 million in 27-28. So, within 3 years, every single team in the league is going to get an extra $25 million in cap space. And then he's right in my head, Michael Kerber is. The real question is, should Bouchard sign an offer sheet, or will somebody try to RFA offer sheet him? And that was going to be my segue to Lotzi before his answer. I think the main reason that this would be absolutely insane for the Oilers is not only because, Bouchard's agent not let him be bridged again. It's because somebody will offer sheet him. With the cap going up, you got the St. Louis Blues doing what they did. You've got a team like, San Jose or Anaheim who wants a young defenseman like that to build around. Top 5 to 10 defensemen aren't available in the league very often, let alone to throw an offer sheet. Everybody knows the Oilers are cap strucken. You were talking now like he deserves 10 million, 11 easy. What happens when Anaheim or San Jose steps in and offers him 14 times whatever on an offer sheet and just gives us 3 first-round picks? That's why the Oilers are insane to try and bridge him. Lotzi, call me crazy.
I'm on the same page with you too much tonight. We're agreeing on a lot of things. But I take you back to Darnell Nurse when he signed his second bridge deal, right? And they pretty much had to do that because they couldn't make the cap work without doing that. So, like with Clefbaum and all the other LTIR stuff they were going and dealing with at that time. But you don't have to make that mistake with Bouchard here, right? 25 years old, 2 more years, you walk him to free agency. 2 more years, the cap's going up to $104 million and 113 the next year. Agents will look at percentage of the cap and use that as an argument to teams as to why players are going to want more and deserve more. Well, this player signed for this percentage of the cap at that time, so my player deserves this much now. I am all for locking up young guys to 8-year deals as early as you can, right? You want to be paying them for what they're going to do in their prime, not for paying them. You don't want to pay them for past success, right? And that's what you get into with you bridge Bouchard, you wait to sign him to a long-term deal. And then suddenly in the last half of that contract, you're paying him for what he used to be able to do, not for what he's doing or can do.
Point.
You sign him to an 8-year deal now, you've still got 8 real good years left in this guy. He'd be 33 or 34, depending on when his birthday is at the end of that contract, right? So that's just kind of the end of his prime. So yeah, get that number locked in now while the cap is still low. And I see no reason to bridge the guy right now. Like I get the argument, especially for next year, because McDavid will still be at 12.5 next year. Like I understand, but get Bouchard locked in. I'm all for. I'm thinking 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the road with my team building strategy in here. So yeah, get them done.
Look, there's very, very few times I don't agree with Quaddy, but I'll read his comment here. Bush will never get a better situation than McDry. Oh yeah, there's no doubt about that, and those are facts. He wouldn't sign an offer sheet. Quaddy, that makes about as much sense as Patrick and I have a hair growing contest. Like, buddy, 2 years for 16 million or 100 million for 7 years. You find me a red-blooded human on this earth that's going to walk away from a $100 million contract to sign an $18 million one. I'm sorry. I don't think that's happening.
You sign a bridge deal if you're in a position where you got to bet on yourself, right? How much better is Evan Bouchard going to do than a point a game as a defenseman and breaking franchise records for playoff production? How much better can he really get?
How much better can you get than a $100 million offer? Yeah, exactly, Lotzie, for sure.
Michael, I don't think there's any reason for Bush to bridge unless he's really
I would love to do, guys, though. I'd love to look at any player that's been bridged and look at the 8-year contract that follows, right? Like, obviously you can't argue the Connor McDavid 8 years. You can't argue Leon Draisaitl. Those guys are elite talents, right? But, look at, Nurse's contract, right? Like the bridge and then the 8-year after. It's typically in those final years where you're saying, yeah, maybe we shouldn't have gone 8. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying that's Bouchard, but I think you got to start. Like, I want to look at. I haven't looked at enough contracts like that, but I'd be curious how many of those contracts in the final 3 to 4 years don't look as great, right? Like, after a bridge. Now, after your entry level, best time to sign an 8-year contract if the guy looks good, right? Now, one bridge, maybe one bridge not so bad. Like there's still some youth left in him. But if you sign Bouchard 8 years, how old is he when he's done? He's 33, 32, 33, I think, right?
Yep. Not even.
I mean, I guess that's all right. I mean, when you look at Ekholm, still got lots of life in him at 34. Still, I'd be curious to look at guys that have been bridged, see what the 8-year return is on them after. And, is it better to go for like a 5-year contract and free up that otherwise good money at the end? Maybe. And now with people are getting a little creative with the deferred contracts, maybe you could give Bouchard a 5-year and do a little bit of a deferral to up it for him a little bit.
What's the age that, what's your unrestricted free agent age now?
26, isn't it?
Yeah, 27.
27.
And what's Bouchard right now? 24, 25?
25, I think.
Yeah, I think it's 2 more years and they could walk him to unrestricted free agency, which I'd like to have him locked up before that and beyond that.
And to our point, a 2-year bridge deal opens that door. So that is all the more reason the Oilers would be absolutely crazy to sign him to a bridge.